The arena seethed with anticipation as the cryopod was wheeled in and set gently on the sand. The operator, a four-legged creature with a tentacled face, used his face appendages to activate the defrosting sequence and release its occupant. "Primitive technology!" he scoffed to himself as the pod began its sequence. "Welcome back to the Grand Arena, my fellow podlings! We have a grand fight for you today, as we finally encountered a new species!" A loud, booming voice yelled out through the open amphitheater. The crowd cheered in awe. It had been centuries since a new victim was added to the lists. Recently discovered by the Council, these creatures known as humans have only just started leaving their local sectors. This poor bastard was found along our southern border because his ship reactor exploded. The crowd let out a jubilant laugh as the cryopod went through its last few cycles. "Owing to how stupid this thing is, it's either going to be an entertaining fight or it's going to be a silly scream fest. Imagine losing your ship because you can't fit a ship reactor properly." Another jubilant laugh from the crowd as the gate at the end of the arena cranked open. "But enough of our future victim. Hungry for the blood of a new race, pleased to welcome one and all, Thargater the Decimator." The crowd screeched in elation and excitement as a massive ape-like creature with 4 arms, clad in heavy armor and holding a large flail weapon, walked through the door, raising his arms high to the cheer of the crowd. The creature is 8 feet tall and built like a tank. His footsteps rock the stadium with every stomp. The cryopod opens up, and a human exits. The human is 7 feet tall, clad in heavy ceramic armor, and looks around, measuring his surroundings. The crowd's jubilation seems somewhat reduced as the newcomer looks around. People better see what he is and what he's wearing. His ceramic armor is painted a bright blue, has various numbers and insignias on it, and clearly, it's more than just a primitive. He looks around, realizing that he is under attack as Thargater the Decimator approaches him with a heady laugh. "Podlings of the Grand Arena, the challenger has awoken. Let the massacre begin!" The announcer blasts his final message, and the crowd cheers. The human reaches into his cryopod and fetches his weapon. A long, straight, 2-handed blade that's almost as big as he is, then regards his new opponent carefully. Thargater charges at the human soldier with a mighty roar, and his thunderous footsteps echo through the grand arena. The soldier moves with unimaginable speed as he effortlessly dodges Thargater's attack, then sweeps his blade around. The blade slices clean through Thargater's legs, cutting them clean off. Thargater is unable to scream or react as the blade is almost instantly brought down on his neck, severing his head clean from his shoulders before his torso hits the ground. The soldier immediately charges towards the open gate that tries vainly to close before he can do anything. The gates close too slowly. The soldier's blade cuts through several Rakani security officers' claws and armor plating before he begins ravaging through the arena's interior concourse. His mighty blade slices clean through almost anything. Heads, legs, armor, torsos, carapaces, and chitin of every species imaginable is cut clean open before the soldier comes across the riot response team. A row of 30 men with charge rifles, railguns, and plasma rifles now carefully guard the entrance to the arena's spaceport. His soldier throws a small cylindrical metal object, a blinding flash followed by a mind-meltingly loud noise that outright disables or kills several guards due to sensory overload follows as the object detonates. The guards are instantly slaughtered. The soldier collects a weapon, tossing some to the side and checking each one, using each one to kill a single target before settling on a pulse rifle and a railgun. The new weapons cut a devastating swathe through the arena's employees. The human charges and slaughters his way through the area, heading towards the spaceport's docking bays when he stops momentarily to read a sign. He uses a few side glances to kill a cargo ship pilot leaving his ship and continues reading the sign. Seeing he is distracted, 3 Kalandi soldiers appear and charge him. He raises a pistol and kills all 3 with 1 shot each without ever taking his eyes off the sign he is reading. He lets out a roar of rage and charges back into the arena, slaughtering more officers and riot soldiers in a hail of gunfire. His accuracy is perfect, always hitting the perfect shot at exactly the right moment. Any shot he can't make, he simply pulls out a blade and cuts whoever is in his way or outright beats his target with his armored fists. He finally finishes his massacre and encounters the slave pits, cages, and secure locations where slaves are kept for later use either in combat or entertainment. The slave master who is set to guard the arena is grabbed by the head and lifted several feet in the air as his head is crushed. The soldier goes through each cage, either ripping the doors off their hinges or forcibly removing each slave from his or her chains by shooting, cutting, or physically breaking them. He then rallies each slave, barking orders and corralling them towards the spaceport, killing 50 or so more soldiers. The cargo ship, whose pilot he killed earlier, is still there on the docking pad. The human soldier quickly ushers each slave into the cargo ship. 74 slaves are secured, and the soldier starts the transport up, then charges towards the nearest hyperlane exit point. The event is over within less than 20 minutes. The fleet nearby is too slow to respond, and the cargo ship successfully leaves the star system. The council looked at the security footage and all winced in pain, fear, and disgust as they watched a human soldier cut a merciless swathe through a Dakatharian fighting arena. The human counselor stood to attention with a sinister smile as he let the images play out, only speaking once the security footage finally stopped. "So, what exactly are we here for?" the human counselor said with that all-too-sinister smile. You are here to face formal charges by the Dakathani Imperium for humanity's attack on one of their colonies." The lion-like Catharnus counselor spoke up, finding his courage again. "You mean the charges that were laid after they got their asses completely beaten in half by the soldier they kidnapped after they sabotaged one of our warships? Oh yes, now I remember. Those charges." The human counselor snapped his fingers, and as if on cue, 10 more soldiers, just like those seen in the security footage, walked in the room behind him. The council gasped in terror, no longer believing the security footage to be a work of fiction. The Dakathani counselors were the next to speak. "What heresy have you created, human?" "Oh, the brainless warriors actually speak? Well, since you asked so nicely, these are called legionnaires. A cross between a Spartan and a space marine," he said simply, gesturing to the soldiers surrounding him. "Why would you make such creatures?" one counselor said, seemingly out of breath. "Well, Games Workshop kept suing us for copyright, so we couldn't make Space Marines. 343 and Bungie kept threatening to sue us, so we couldn't make a Spartan. So we made a combination of both. Then we threatened to pull their operating licenses if they tried to sue us again. Needless to say, they stopped trying to sue us after a few stockholders went missing," the human said with a sly smirk. That clearly wasn't the answer the council was looking for. "Oh, you mean morally? Well, I don't know. In human lands, slavery is illegal, immoral, unacceptable, punishable by execution. You have slaves. Why can't we have super soldiers? You don't have any right to tell me what is good or evil here. As far as I'm concerned, and my opinion is all that matters here, what you do in those colonies with those arenas is the worst thing you can possibly do." The council regarded each other momentarily. Before they could do anything, the human counselor spoke up again. "Therefore, I hereby propose the following changes to galactic law." The human counselor pushed a series of buttons on his keypad, showing images to the council. The images were a series of photographs with the home worlds of various worst offenders in the background, with the angrily helmeted forms of thousands of legionnaires in the foreground. The human counselor continued. "I hereby propose that kidnapping and slavery now be illegal, punishable by death. To all who would vote no, I would like you to consider if you would. That devastation was caused by one legionnaire. I wonder what would happen to your homeworlds if I unleashed thousands of them. I'm sure one way or another, you will see our point of view." The human counselor smiled at the and all too familiar sinister, sadistic smile and waited to give the order either to attack or to retreat. The counselors regarded each other with apprehension as the legionnaires now in the room began to ready their weapons.